Go ahead.
That's how I'm gonna well, we never discussed who was gonna intro this, so I guess screw it, I will since you bothered.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hello, welcome to the To Be Named podcast. It doesn't have a name yet, so that's why we haven't named it yet. This will be happening whenever. We haven't set a schedule because we're both very busy people.
Or we're just too lazy just to come up with a name.
Shh, they aren't supposed to know that.
Oh, well.
Now then, this will be up for, this first one here, and probably most of them from here on out. We're going to be doing this just as a general review of 1 to 2 hours of us talking about crap. Whatever that crap may be. Could be
I'd
good
say
crap.
it'd be crap from video games, crap from what's happened in current events, or anything that we just want to talk about randomly.
Hell, maybe I'll be talking about actual crap. That poop, it's a problem. Anyway. I'm
So
just happy that this thing is finally set
You
up
want to
on
at
radio.
least start with the introductions?
Yeah, I suppose we should have introduced ourselves too. Anyway, hi, I'm Headset Freak.
And I'm PC Death Gamer.
Also known as Chibi, also known as Haas and something else.
I'll say multiple gamer tags. If you want to see those, just go to my YouTube channel.
The man
Or
of a
don't
billion
follow.
names. Also, I have a YouTube channel as well, which this will be uploaded to, as will his. But it will be, a few days after the actual podcast happens. Also, something else to keep in mind. We do have, well, actually, I don't know what you have, but I have a Twitter. So, that's my main
You're not the
form
only
of
one with a
social
Twitter
media.
ID, too.
Yeah, that's my only form of social media, really, that I use.
Yep, nope. No Facebook, no Instagram,
Screw Facebook.
no Snapchat, none of that.
So yeah, otherwise we're unfortunate. Oh my god, I hate my tablet. All right. Software update incomplete. Screw you.
The introduction.
Oh
You
yeah.
want me to start with that?
Go ahead and go. I'm busy
Anyway,
troubleshooting.
What we were want to have for our introductions is, of course, since this is the first episode of the podcast, and most of you probably don't know who we are on each of our channels. So, anyway, as I said, I'm PC Death Gamer, or Chibi, as you'll hear Headset call me a couple times.
That's how I first met him.
As of course, my game titles, I am just strictly a PC gamer. What games I'll play is far and wide. I'll play them all on the hardest difficulty. If it's not hard enough, I will do some changes to the game, such as add mods to make it where it's more difficult. In order for me to get killed, rage, swear, make you all laugh because of me being pissed off at the game.
And I follow a very similar model of, yes, oh, by the way, I also record video games. Oh my god, not an oversaturated market at all. Anyway, I will also be playing games, and I do also have a love for challenges, and will usually play on the hardest difficulty. I don't see why I wouldn't. In some cases I don't, and those are very special. But anyway, let's go ahead and start this off here, because I actually, it's Halloween, funny enough. Well, it's not Halloween anymore for me. It's technically past midnight.
I will say it's past midnight for both of us.
Alright, so it was Halloween 17 minutes ago, but... Oh, God.
But what?
This goddamn tablet. Anyway. So, funny enough, I spent Halloween not watching horror movies, because I hate horror, and not doing anything related to horror.
Enough by your YouTube channel and you playing spookies.
Oh, yes. There's another thing to keep in mind. Go ahead and check that out if you want to see me hate horror more. But yes,
Or if
so
you
I
want to
did
see
do
someone
that.
play them and just get this completely through, my channel has it, and I have Evil Within coming up on my channel here soon.
Yep. Now that, so funny enough, I spent this Halloween watching House of Cards. Yeah, that's pretty horrifying, right there. Got to be one of the scariest things I've ever watched. If you hate political corruption.
Yeah, actually, that's one of the few TV shows out there I haven't seen yet.
Man, alright, I'm not going to spoil anything. You need to put that on your list of things to watch. House of Cards is up there.
I had it on there. I'm just trying to catch up on right now Walking Dead. So.
Plus Kevin Spacey. Oh yeah, The Walking Dead. I haven't seen that newest thing that came out of The Walking Dead. Have you? The whole new
The newest
series,
thing.
the whole new series thing they're kind of doing, where they're starting off with a new group of people or something like that.
No, I haven't. If it's
I think
not
that's what they're doing.
with Daryl and them,
I have it recorded.
no.
I have it recorded since I have DirecTV. I'm not advertising for them in any. Well, actually, I kind of am. Anyway,
I would say
free
they suck.
free advertising. Hey, I like DirecTV. Anyway, I have it recorded, so I can just watch it from there. So we'll see how it goes. I'll
Oh, yeah.
inform you about that. But
I'll stick with Netflix and all that.
yeah, well, no. Well, yeah, Netflix is good. That's where I'm watching House of Cards. But anyway, yeah.
Really,
So,
Lunative?
what?
I got someone in my chat, my side.
Oh, well, that's good. Yeah. Oh, something else we should have probably mentioned. Yes, we are both streaming this. It doesn't really matter which one of us you watch. Just you have two avenues.
It's going to be on both channels and all that.
Yep, you have two avenues of viewing. So I guess if you love us both very much, you can take the time to just watch us both as the exact
And
same thing.
if you are watching the stream at this time, if you have any questions that you want us to tackle or any ideas for us to go through with this podcast, just bring them in the chats. We both have them open where we can see them. We'll
Yep.
write them down if we get to them this episode, or we might put them into later episodes.
Look,
Who
let me
knows?
put this way. I have a Google document ready to go. So you got nothing to worry about. I'm not naming that Google document right now and not just coming up with the idea of doing that.
Yes, I remember you. How would I forget? Especially since you're the one that started with the name. But anyway,
So,
going back to her.
actually, something I did want to bring up, though, recently, is that, you know, I've been looking at some new games, right? And you brought this up with me earlier, that whole Stellaris game that the
Yep.
Paradox guys are coming up with. For those who don't know who Paradox are, they're the people who made the game Crusader Kings 2, Europa Universalis, or I should just say Crusader Kings in general.
Galactic Civilization
Victoria.
3.
Galactic Civilization 3, no, that was Stardock.
Oh, that wasn't them.
No, that wasn't Paradox. Yeah, Stardock is
No, they're-
it's a turn-based. So
They're part of them.
is Stardock a part of the Paradox?
Yeah, I believe so.
I'm gonna look that up right now, and this is why we do this. Is Stardock a part of Paradox Interactive? So let's find that out. Because that's
Galactic
actually.
Civilization. I
But,
can just
yeah.
go straight to it.
But yeah, so
Nope. It's just Stardock's itself.
yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, but yeah, so Paradox is they make great games. They're great. I love them. I've played them. They also made Hearts of Iron. I forgot if I mentioned that. And Hearts of Iron 4, speaking of which, in news is coming out, so that's something big. But Stellaris is something that Chibi just kind of found in the depths of I don't know where.
I was looking through a PC Gamer magazine and it was just right there. Not my
Well
fault.
then.
I was in a chat with you and just went, "Oh, this is something that headset would enjoy." Ah, what?
Yeah, so apparently it's a space game, right? But it's a strategy game, and it's
Yep.
assuming it goes by Paradox's normal standard of very grand scale stuff. I'm hoping that it'll be really good, and so far everything from Paradox that I've seen is beautiful. Even though they do run off of, for those if you're interested in any Paradox games, keep in mind they run off the system of every update is a DLC that you have to pay for. But I tell them
yeah.
to shut up and take my money because it's that good.
And speaking of you bringing up, of course, the strategy games and horror games, that's actually a good segue into another topic we have down. Of course, our favorite and least favorite gaming genres.
Oh god, horror is my probably least favorite of all time. I hate playing it. I can't
So yours-
stand it.
Hence why you don't play except once a year.
Yep, once a year I
my-
play it on Halloween because Nugs said, "Hey, you should do this." And I
Hence
went-
why, or something else you brought up, another horror game for you.
Oh god.
Not
no.
going to say what that was, because I don't know if you've mentioned it on your channel or not.
Probably not. I don't know. I played only 2 horror games for my what I like to call headsets Halloween hell because as far as I'm concerned, it's hell. That was Five Nights at Freddy's and Spooky's House of Jump Scares, which we already brought up. But yeah, that's probably my least
You'd
favorite
skip the
genre.
pumpkins.
Yep. Hey, what's your least favorite genre? I'd actually
My
like to
least favorite, something that you'll never see on my channel, any sports game,
know.
and you'll hardly see racing games such as Need for Speeds
Well,
or any of those. I'll
guess I'm gonna
play them,
ask.
but I don't really play them because one, I suck at driving in video games, so I'll crash a lot.
Oh, perfect. I
So.
know exactly who to not make drive then. I do have a question.
Oh, ha.
Do you consider Mario Kart a racing game?
In my opinion, Mario Kart's more like a retro game.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think racing is games where you're on actual racetracks. Forza, Need for Speed, as I said, The Crew, which is one game I do own, and yes, I have played it. Yeah.
Yeah,
All the
I
fun of
don't
that
know
game.
a lot about The Crew. All I know is that it's a game where you drive cars.
I'll say, basically, you got the whole United States you can drive across, which takes an hour to do.
Well,
But,
I mean, well,
yeah.
I don't think it takes a real life hour, but okay.
A real life hour, yes.
Well, I mean, to actually drive across the United States in real life, I'm pretty sure it doesn't.
Oh,
take
no,
a
not
while.
in real life, no. Hell no. It took me 4 days. And I was going 8 hours each day.
Yep. I would imagine. Wait a minute, you've actually driven across the U.S.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Yeah, this guy gets out more than I do, by the way.
Well, it's all for, of course, my job. Which,
Yes,
no,
which,
it's not YouTube or Twitch.
yeah,
And
so
no one
I
knows
guess,
about it. I'm keeping it hidden.
I guess, yeah, I was about to ask, should we...
Wait a minute, you've actually
What
driven
the...
across
Oh,
the
God.
US.
Don't worry about it. I accidentally unmuted, crap. Nothing to worry about. We're perfectly fine. Anyway,
You're a mutant crap, and I have, of course, a little bit of Destiny going on in the background because my roommate's playing it.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
so now when it comes to, I guess, I should say, speaking of, let's just go over everything we hate first. My least favorite game in existence, funny enough, your avatar's based off it. My least favorite game in existence is probably Minecraft at this point. I really cannot stand it. I just can't. I don't know, that can easily change, but right now Minecraft is up there on a list of games that I just can't play without being unhappy.
I would actually say that my least favorite game, I'll admit it's a game designed around co-op and that, but to me it's just utter bullcrap.
What is it?
Payday.
Payday. Man, I've looked at that game. I think it would be so fun if you could get a group of friends to play it. But the problem
Well,
is
yeah.
that I don't
You're-
have a large enough circle of friends to do that.
Well, if you're with people who actually you know and you're able to talk with without going through the in-game chat, which is a massive fucking delay. Yeah, you're able to strategize everything before you go in. You don't have to worry about anyone fucking you over. But
And
if
you've
you're
played
with
it before, right?
strangers?
Oh,
Huh?
yeah. You played it before, right? I'm assuming?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. I played every single map on Payday 1. I've never Payday 2 because, of course, it's utter crap.
Yeah.
Even though I have people constantly tell me to play it.
Yeah, no, I don't own the game. I've thought about it, but it's just not worth my money at the
Nope.
moment. And plus,
No.
that review, I guess I should... Well, I wouldn't even be... If I got it, it wouldn't be to play it with random people. But that's beside the point.
I would say that's beside the point. Oh, I got someone else watching me again.
Oh, God. I didn't check the time that we started. It was that time. Okay, just gonna leave myself a notes.
Well, sad thing is we've only gone off one topic so far that we had outlined.
Well,
We're
hey,
only halfway through it.
Also, what was it? Payday. You're right. Another
Yep.
thing that I found interesting about that game is that, you know, the whole idea behind the game is that you want to find a team, right? And you want to build a team and play a team. And in a lot of team games like that, I think one of the biggest problems is that you although they have multiplayer, you can't play them with random people. And that
Yep.
game seems to have the same issue. You just can't... It's not designed to actually be played with a random person or a random group of people. You need friends to play those games.
So you have to be with people you can trust, yeah.
Yeah, just people that you know can get things done, etc. Or people who will actually listen to you.
So, of course, that's that.
Now on to more positive things, like the games and things that we do love.
Our favorite gaming genres and games.
Yep, go ahead and start that off yourself.
Oh, I gotta start now? Damn.
Yes, I am fortunate.
Let's see. Favorite gaming genre? Well, you already know it. It's of course, any RPG out there, especially JRPGs, because I enjoy where no matter how you play it, it's always different because you can have different weapons for characters. You can watch people multiple ways and they'll do something different each time.
Screw you, tablet. Stop telling me to update.
I'm just waiting for that tablet to go out the window.
Oh, no, I'm not going to break the window. Or the screen,
Well,
so...
You open the window, open the screen.
Can't open the screen.
Oh, damn.
But, yeah, so my favorite, personally, although I do love RPGs, and I practically started gaming on RPGs, probably my favorite kind of game out there is the real-time strategy game.
The RTSs.
Yep, I love strategy to death. It is the greatest. I love the think. I think that's probably one of the big things.
So yours is just okay, how am I going to get into these people's heads? Of all the RTSs you've played, which would you say is your favorite one?
Oh, man. One of the ones I'm playing right now, and I wish I discovered this when this came out in 2015, apparently, but Grey Goo. I love that game because it's fun. I love strategy games, but I hate StarCraft, which is the pinnacle of all strategy games as far as most people are concerned. And part of it is just because I feel like, although this is completely stereotyped, when it's a game where it's just kind of, I'm Korean, so you can't beat me, I don't like it. And that's how that game feels to me.
Oh, yeah?
But yeah, and, Grey Goo, it's like StarCraft, yes, but I feel like it's just not enough of a StarCraft to be just right. So far, that's been one of my favorite RTSs so far. I don't know what my all-time favorite is, though. I mean, I love Age of Empires. Age of Empires 2 is one of the greatest real-time strategy games ever made. Granted, it's an older game, so it's more of a nostalgia trip for most people, but I think that's really good as well. It's funny, with real-time strategy, actually, there isn't a large list of games that you can choose from.
Oh, no, unlike RPGs, there's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, unlike most genres, strategy is actually kind of a small genre. It's funny how that works, but I think it might just be that so much has to actually go into the game. It takes a lot of production.
I'd say that's like with mine. If I wouldn't name the high-end popular ones, such as Dark Souls, Fallout, Final Fantasies, Elder Scrolls, yes.
Skyrim
if
is
I
amazing,
avoided
though.
naming those ones, which, yeah, they're up there in my top 5, I have to say Hybrid Dimension Neptuna actually beats them. And that one, of course... Huh?
No, go ahead and continue before I start.
Oh.
Because mine's a little bit of a long tangent.
Really?
Go.
Oh, no, because my thing can actually lead into another topic that we had.
Alright, now we're arguing about who should continue along with the topics, because we're horrible at not interrupting each other, specifically me. Anyway, fine, I'll go, because you're going to be stumbling down. So, one of the things I find interesting about games, like Skyrim and so on, and then you mark another one as better than those, I think that when it comes to games, you almost have to have separate lists of your favorite games when it comes to the AAA titles and the things that get for most production value due to it being a big company, and then the smaller titles that are done by people who, they wanted to put a game together. It's an indie title, really. It's probably not done by a large company, or it's by a very small company, For example, I think FTL, right? One of the it has great production value, but it's an indie game. It was kickstarted, right? I think FTL is one of my favorite all-time games, just as a game in general, to play, and I love that game to death. It will be a thing that I will record and play forever, or at least until I unlock everything. Plus, yes, there is the whole challenging aspect of it. That is always good. That game is made to kick you.
Not just the challenge of the game itself, you've been challenged by other people.
Yeah, oh man. If there's anything FTL needs, it's a multiplayer, paid DLC. $10, paid DLC, multiplayer FTL versus, or co-op in some way, shape, or form would make tons of money.
And I see after what we do, they might add it later on.
Who knows? Hey, guys, add that.
But yeah.
Make a note.
Anyways, as I was saying, the only reason I say Hybrid Dimension Neptuna is better than Skyrim in them, yet it's a JRPG, which is one of my major ones, but I'm not going to be biased with this, okay?
You're going to try not to.
It does have it where you have actual storyline where you won't get lost in all the missions that you do. Each mission you do, even the side missions, are involved into the storyline. They're all connect to each other,
Well,
and you'll actually feel like you're there with the actual characters that you're playing. And of course, it has multiple games out on the consoles, and finally coming to the PC with 3 now on Steam.
oh, it was only a console game? That's strange coming from you then.
Yeah, it was only a console game that was based off a visual novel that was turned into a graphic novel, which was turned into a video game, and now is, of course, now on Steam. So,
Well, I'll tell you what, one thing that I find about, you say that all of it connects and stuff. I don't always like everything in my, RPGs to connect. If everything all connects together, that's kind of seems a little silly to me, but if, granted, some things can connect together, yes, and when, I feel like a good game to go to for open world kind of RPGs, The Witcher, they do a really good job with this in the sense of all these little side quests and little things that you can find, they have a story attached to them, which granted may not be all that glamorous, but it's still interesting that you can put the pieces together, oh, well, you found a piece of paper that leads to a treasure site. On that treasure site, the treasure's been dug up and you find a dead guy there. Well, naturally, we can just assume that somebody killed somebody else for the treasure, but then you find out that later, it turns out that that guy was just, he was killed for the treasure, right? But it's because it was a family heirloom and some bandits tracked him down or something like that. Still, just, cool little stuff like that. It doesn't have to actually connect to the main story.
well, no, that's what. Yeah, I know a lot of them don't connect to the story, and if they do, it might be overwhelming. It all depends, because the way I say it, Hybrid Dimension connects to the main story is you learn more about characters' background, you learn more about the lore into everything, why it's all the way it is,
And I
instead of
love
how
some lore.
everything's going on right now.
Yeah, we both love ourselves some lore, definitely.
Yep.
Lore is beautiful and amazing and something I put probably too much spare time into, but I love it too much.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is something that if people don't like lore, that would make me kind of sad because they put a lot. I mean, granted, that's got to kind of stink as a game developer to put so much into a story like that and for example, Skyrim and its books, right? Most people don't.
Oh
read them.
yeah.
It's got to kind of stink to be a person who looks into that, right, and makes and puts effort into that, and then that a good majority of people are just going to skip over it and not care.
I'll say they'll just grab the books up just to get the advancement in their skill and then go on.
Yeah, or not even, and if it doesn't advance their skill, just to sell it, or just because they want to collect the books to have the books. Now, granted, for me, I actually read books, and I think some of them are really good.
I'll grab them and I'll read them off camera if I'm recording it, or something.
So, something I thought about, obviously, something I feel like I should do, I'm sure somebody else out there has done it, but I thought of it completely by myself as far as I'm concerned, is just a story time with headset thing where I would just read stuff like that if I were to ever play a game like that. Granted, don't plan on playing any role-playing games anytime soon, but in the situation, that's probably what I would do. There would be, the off episode or something like that where that would happen.
Oh, I'm actually glad that you brought up the comment about me actually being interested in a game that was on the console that came to the PC. Because it actually goes to another of our topics about cross-platforms.
Yeah, cross-platforms. That is something that I actually know very, very little about, because I haven't had much care for it.
Yet I know a lot on it, because, of course, what we're talking about here, cross-platform, is, of course, you always hear the war between each console. Oh, PlayStation is better than the Xbox.
The very pointless pissing match that will get nowhere and mean nothing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because they, of course, kicked out the Wii, because now the Wii's obsolete, because it's going toward handheld.
Well, yeah, now it's Wii U.
Doing that for years.
Wii U.
But the thing that everyone's now seeing is, of course, PC gamers are getting involved with this and arguing that they're constantly better than, of course, consoles.
Well, now, I guess here's the thing, right? It's a matter of experience. And here's the thing. PC gamers, if you really want a game on PCs, it's expensive to actually be able to play most of the games that you would want.
Well, yeah, because you gotta mod everything, you gotta change your graphics, and all that.
Yeah, just as a general, it's usually fairly expensive. Sure, you can go and buy a pre-built PC for, so much money, right? But if you want the best experience, it's best to at least, get some modifications, have somebody do it for you, help create jobs.
Yeah.
But, Yeah, one of the things that, is nice about consoles, as a general rule, is you can put in any game and it's already set and ready to go. If it's not, that's the company's fault, and that's bad that they did that. But
That's
it's already...
why the day one patches.
Yeah, but it's set and ready to go, and it's nice that, you have a game that's already optimized, right? And consoles, generally speaking, so far from my experience, tend to be a more social experience.
I would say they're more social in that.
Yeah.
PC, of course, you got where it's just you sitting there mostly by yourself.
Well, also the thing with
But-
PC is trolls are rampant on PC far more than consoles, as far as I can
Well,
tell.
yes, and we got more hackers, yes.
Yeah, kind of because it's
But-
easier.
But there's actually talk that Microsoft is actually going to try and create a game division that they're actually going to have it where it'll be compatible with PC gaming.
Yeah.
So, but what we were going to talk is what our opinion is on if PC games are able to play with the consoles, how we see it's going to react, how it's going to work, just how we see it going.
Well,
So,
it's a very almost actually delicate subject just because the technology behind this stuff is actually fairly advanced to try and set it up from one thing to another, because for console-specific games, console-exclusive games, like Halo, for example, which I love to death. Halo, one of my favorite games ever, just as a general. I love Halo so much.
it can burn.
But, the thing is that as a console exclusive, right, it's set up specifically to run off of console hardware, not PC. And
Yep.
the difficulty with that is that sometimes, in drastic cases, in fact, I don't know too much about it, but I'm pretty sure that they have to recode the game if they wanted to get it to work. Which, coding takes a lot.
I would say it's normally they have to recode it and then modify it.
Yeah, and if anybody out there does code, you will know that it's a very long process to code a game.
Yeah.
And, just funny enough about coding, actually, there's this, there was this website that I found that actually, it teaches you coding, and it's nice to find an actual good website that'll do things like this. But it's very specific. It's not game coding. It's, HTML and JavaScript, I believe, or something like that. It's cool that you can find websites like that. I'll probably put a link somewhere, or I'll try to find it now. But,
I would say we could try.
I'll find it and put a link to it in the YouTube description or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
But it's nice that's something to kind of keep a lookout for, because you can find stuff, and it's free. I suppose I should mention that as well. It's free. That's huge.
I'll admit it will actually make it where there's less of a battle between them, but I see it where it will actually cause more of a heated discussion between them too, if you think about it.
Heated discussion? I don't follow exactly.
Well, because, as we were saying, we got the hackers, people who mod everything. We have it where, of course, on all PC gamers, me being one myself, we can play it both ways, where we have gamepads or we have the keyboard and mouse. We actually have,
Yes.
in first-person shooters, or even third-person shooters, we have better accuracy with just the mouse and keyboard than we do have a gamepad.
Which,
And on the consoles, you have that little delay when you push the analog sticks and all that.
well, here's the thing that's kind of interesting about that, right? You say that, and that may be very well true, but when you use something like that, your mind will adjust to the little things like that to the point where it doesn't, in my mind, seem to make much of a difference. Now, granted, if you were to just... It depends as well on how used you are to the controller you're using. For example, when I first started PC gaming, right, I had console gaming before that, can't aim for crap with the mouse and keyboard, right? And now I'm at least half decent at it, and, generally speaking,
Well,
when you put over
Well, I'll say,
100 hours...
I do both. I use the keyboard and mouse, and I use a gamepad. Gamepad I do have is a 360, Xbox 360 controller that I have
don't
hooked
have
up.
a gamepad, so I don't know how
Well,
those things work
but-
entirely.
But before I, of course, went with the gamepad and all that for certain games, not all, because some just I'm used to. I'll have it where it just makes it easier than reaching all across my keyboard for another button. But I'll actually have it where the last console I touched officially was the PS2. I haven't touched any consoles since then. So of course, me going from PS2 over to a keyboard with, of course, Unreal
mouse.
Tournament that games that needed just only the keyboard because that's all they had.
Oh, really? The
Yeah,
Unreal? Oh, yeah, it did. You're right. Yeah, it did.
as I say they're not
Yeah, they
gamepad
didn't need the
compatible.
mouse as well. They didn't. Did they need the mouse in those? I forget. I don't think they
I would
did.
say the
Actually.
mouse was just to look around.
Yeah, the
You
mouse
could
was
fire
really
with
just to look around.
yeah, you could fire with the shifts.
Yeah.
So I remember sending it to my shift to fire because you're able to change all of your game.
Well, also,
keys.
I feel like I can click the shift key faster than I can click the mouse, honestly. Button mashing.
Oh yeah,
Anyway.
but I went from that and went, of course, stuck with the Unreal Tournament. Went from that to multiple other games. I'm just going. I'm so used to this. Yeah, you might be saying, okay, that's how we see it, but it's all different per person.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? Actually, funny enough, since we brought up controls, one of the things that I feel like kind of makes cross-platforming from PC to console more difficult is because the fact that with a PC, you have a keyboard, which means way more buttons and inputs, right?
Yep.
Whereas with a console, you have less because it has a controller. And that's where I feel like that's kind of how, really, when you want to port something over, I feel like that's what really makes the line of division for PC games when they're going to be ported over to console. Does it have more than the controller has, for inputs and outputs? Okay, then we can't really port it over.
And another issue I see is, of course, you'll see it in games that we do on the PC, like CS:GO. You'll see people constantly calling each other hackers because they're better or something.
That's just
I see
general culture in gaming.
Well, I see that actually occurring more with the console gamers or PC gamers calling the opposite that. Because, of course, PC gaming, especially since we do got Steam with the community workshops and all that, we automatically add mods without any issues.
Yes, this is true.
So I actually see it where there will be more people calling people hackers, trying to get people kicked off and all that.
Well, the problem with gaming culture, and I suppose gamer culture, is that one of the biggest issues is that people just assume that, now obviously this isn't everyone, but if somebody's doing really well, they're assumed to be a hacker. But it's funny because in the situation where it's a professional gamer facing off against a bunch of people who aren't professional gamers, I imagine that if they knew that person was a professional gamer, they wouldn't call them a hacker.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a matter of, obviously, because here's the thing, after playing a game for a while, after gaming for a while, you start to notice what's hacking and what's not. And, there are people who will say, oh, I know what hacking is, and they don't know, right? But after a while, there is a point where you can kind of tell if you played that game enough, no, that doesn't seem quite right.
Yeah.
And, a good example of that is in CS:GO. Sometimes there are just moments where you feel like, okay, maybe you got lucky, but if that happens 3 more times in rapid succession, there may be something up. But, it's all a matter of perspective, I suppose. I personally usually save hacking as a last resort thing when it comes to accusations for anything. And it's, here's another thing. It's always interesting when you play a game. TF2, this is a serious problem, but when the hacker is on your team, because the way TF2 works, the only people that can kick people are people on your team.
Your own team, yeah.
And if the hacker is on their team, they usually don't give a rip. And, I hate that so much about it. That's one of my only problems with the TF2 community. I play a lot of TF2, I should mention, and, it's probably my most played shooter. And it's just, there are people who will take notice, though, and they'll go, yeah, we should kick this guy because this just isn't right. But, I feel like...
Far and few between.
Yeah, it's just kind of rough how that happens, and by the time that person is kicked, usually the other team has just gained a sizable advantage by that point, and it doesn't matter. But, and hacking obviously just ruins games. I don't know why people do it because I don't see the fun in it. I guess unless you like to piss people off, which I do, sort of, but I mean, not in that format because that format doesn't seem like it makes sense. It's just something that isn't compatible with my brain. It just doesn't work.
Before anyone in our chats on your the streams right now or on YouTube, before any of you say, "Oh, PC, you mentioned that you use mods every now and then. That's cheap." No, certain mods out there, they don't change the game mechanics except for, of course, how your opponents are. They don't change it where you can kill everyone in one shot. Yeah, there are some out there. I don't use them 'cause to me that is cheating. The mods I use only are change the AI to make them where they kill me more, or add more missions than that.
Oh, thank
That's
God,
all I
the
do.
update is finally done. Okay.
But I'll admit, yeah, mods are out there for certain reasons.
Yeah, and some people
use them to
abuse.
cheat, people don't.
Some people do abuse the mods, and those mods are
Which,
usually quickly taken down on something like Steam once people report, "Hey, there's this
Yep.
mod that just gives people, the ability to kill everyone in CS:GO." Well, guess we better remove that.
I'll say they just recently moved one from CS:GO that had aimbot.
Just a flat-out mod that had aimbot. That's interesting.
Well,
That's something
it
I've
was
never heard of.
it was for if when you were in like the custom maps, but it actually worked over to the actual competitive mode.
Yeah.
Which actually, speaking of mods, that's actually never one of our topics.
Well,
here,
one of the things that we wanted to go over, yeah, but
which is just us basically saying what our opinions are on them. Which,
well,
I basically did almost all the way.
yeah, we practically just moved slowly over into mods. We don't even have to. We don't have to bother.
Without even knowing it,
Look,
yeah.
if we've moved into it, we don't have to bother mentioning topics. We can just keep talking.
Nope.
But
I
I will say that in my mind of mods are usually more for single player games or playing a game with friends that's multiplayer, but local server stuff. Gary's mod, I guess, in a sense, that entire game is nothing but a compilation of mods.
I would say that's all nothing
all
but mods.
thrown together. But when it comes to a game like Skyrim, for example, I feel like that's the kind of game you would want to mod. CS:GO, I understand custom maps, but I don't see the point in people doing much else than that. I suppose, like in Left 4 Dead, I've seen people they reskin things.
I would say reskins and that's okay.
You all right?
Where your
He is
character's
dying
going-
right now. He's choking on his own spits.
No, actually, Orange Crush.
Oh God.
But no, I was actually saying that if you do it where it's changing your skins and that's good. But if you actually do it where you're making it where your character's stronger, where you can one hit someone, basically kill them right there, and no, I don't.
Well,
I don't see why you all use those in games where you're with multiple people. Where
multiple people. I was thinking if single player, I can understand someone just using a mod to flat out strengthen
but
themselves
if you're like
for
a
whatever
multiplayer
reason.
where it's not your friends who all are using the same thing, or you're against other players, don't use it.
Well, you can say don't use it, but people will still do it.
I'll say they'll still use it, but of course then you have to watch out for people like us, which recently I caught someone that was actually hacking because they speed hacked in front of me on
my
CSGO.
God. Yeah, again, there are those moments where you can look at something and you can go, yeah, I actually genuinely think this person is hacking. And, usually you want to get maybe a little bit more proof than just one event, so you'll maybe keep an eye on that person for the rest of the game. But,
I'll say I had where the whole match was recorded because I was live streaming
yeah,
it.
well, also, CSGO actually has that new review thing where if something is reported for hacking, there are other people who can look at it and just go, from, yeah, no, I don't think that's hacking, or so on.
Yeah.
Like, the whole community review thing, whatever that is. And, we've been talking about CSGO a lot, funny enough, but it's a very popular game.
I'll say
I'll give it
popular
that,
game that
and
everyone knows. Same
You
as,
were playing it recently,
CF2.
so,
well, yeah.
yeah, that's probably on your brain as well, but... Yeah, no. I find that that's an interesting way to combat hacking, though. If people
I would
catch
say
them
having where the community goes at it.
Yeah, it's also a great and cheap way to do it as well. But at the same time, as a gamer and, if you're part of a gaming community, generally speaking, you don't want hackers in there. So it makes sense for them to do that, but again, there's also the nice little bonus of the fact that you're a company and you don't have to allocate resources to dealing with that.
Yeah.
Which is where Valve gets a slight little bonus for people actually caring.
Unless they're crushing people's hopes and dreams about number 3.
Oh God! Don't even start with Valve and the number 3. They're like police officers. Police officers can only count the numbers 10 and 4 for some reason, and Valve can't count to 3. No, that's a joke on police officers. Don't worry about it. If nobody actually understands that, I'll be a little disappointed.
We'll joke around about other things, but
But yeah, no. And you know what? I will say, speaking of interesting methods of dealing with hacking, one of the things that I've actually found very interesting is the way that, certain things like some multiplayer mode games, right? Or MMOs, whatever they are. I forget the specific meaning. I used to think it was multiplayer mode only. I was corrected, and I am okay with this.
Massive multiplayer online.
Yes, massively multiplayer online, that's what it is. And in those games, right? One of the things that was interesting is, I forget if this was World of Warcraft or something like that, but, if somebody was caught hacking, right? If they wanted to play the game again, they would have to apologize by recording a video of themselves, face-to-face, in person, apologizing to the entire community and posting it, right, on their website.
Yeah.
Which is, one, embarrassing, and two, maybe you just shouldn't have hacked in the first place. But yeah, it's kind of interesting how they did that, and I think that that's a good way to do it and teach them a lesson. Grant, if they do it again, and it's the same person, at that point they should just be banned for life, no second chance. Because they had their second chance, I guess I should say, in that regard. And, Titanfall did something interesting with that as well. Titanfall had it to where they had servers specifically for all the hackers.
Oh, yeah.
Just the all-hacker server where they played against just hackers.
Well,
that'd be kind of cool to actually experience that, but at the same time, I wouldn't want that to be
GTA 5 Online actually has that too. Where
they do?
If you do anything where it's not being nice to other players, such as hacking and all that, your rep goes down to where you're a bad player, and you're only able to be in lobbies with other bad players.
Oh, wow. How does it go back up?
It doesn't. It's permanent.
Wow. Now, I don't like that kind of system, because there's no
It's all
recovery.
those who hacked.
Oh, it only does that to hackers, though. It's not just you said something mean to someone, and your rep goes... Okay.
You're going to have that constantly in a game like GTA 5.
In a game like GTA, if you don't go into a game like Grand Theft Auto and not expect somebody to be vulgar.
I'll say...
The game itself expresses all things considered vulgar by society, for the most part.
I'll say there's a whole bunch of fucked up shit with that, but hey.
And, funny enough, with Grand Theft Auto, though, something I also knew is that they did this thing where it wasn't for hackers, it's just that people abused a glitch where they could get their own personal cars in the games where their own personal cars weren't allowed. So whenever they got into it, it would just explode and kill them. That's a funny way to deal with that.
Yeah.
Just to kind of abuse things like that. I love that. That's great when you do that. Just that makes some very comedic moments, I'm sure, for people. Just, I got my car that blew up. Why?
Yep.
And, then they can't get in their car ever at that point because it just keeps on exploding, I guess, until they get out of that game. But still, that's a very interesting way for them to handle that.
I was saying, I've actually seen other YouTubers who have actually countered those who are vulgar in real life in that, not just in the game. Mm-hmm. And they are bullies.
Oh, bullies.
They actually have it where people can actually give them all the information, and they'll troll them in a way where it actually makes them correct their ways.
I'm actually against this form of action because, honestly, as far as I'm concerned, whatever some asshole tells me over the internet doesn't matter to me all that much because you're sitting at your computer just like I am, somewhere possibly halfway across the world. If you want to insult me, be brave enough to do it in front of my face, and then I'll take it seriously. But otherwise, it doesn't bother me.
Well, this one person that I watched recently, he'll have where he's anonymous, he's actual stalker. He'll actually have where the family or someone that person actually knows is putting letters in their mailbox when he cues it.
Wow.
Turn off all the power in their room or whatever.
That's not cool, actually.
Well, it's actually to scare them, make them actually apologize to the people who they've done it to.
I don't care.
All that.
I don't support that. That's not the way you go about that kind of thing. That's not the way you should go about that.
Okay, then
Using
how would you say anti-bullying should be?
Look, let me put it this way. Fear, when it comes to anything like that, is not the way to get people to stop doing it forever. I mean, I could almost go into politics in this regard, but I won't. But, sure, the law enforcement, granted, there's that whole idea, if I break the law, I could go to jail. And sure, that's scary, but also, generally speaking, you just shouldn't go to jail if you follow the law. Because that's the intelligent thing to do. Now, obviously, on the internet, part of the problem is that people have the whole... I think, honestly, one thing about that, why that method probably works, why I would argue that it probably works, is because of the fact that one of the reasons that people are such assholes on the internet all the time is because of the fact that there's no way to really figure out who they are. Whereas,
True.
people on the road, for example, they get angry at each other, they'll shout at each other or something like that. Then one guy gets out of his car or whatever, right? And he's really big and the other guy's not that big or something like that, or, he just doesn't want to fight him. Okay, he backs down because it's a real confrontation with a real person. Whereas on the internet, it's just with people on the screen. And, here's something that I actually like. There is a law where you cannot encourage certain things like suicide over the internet. And a lot of people don't know about that. But, I mean, you could almost say that anytime people in a video game say, kill yourself, they're breaking the law. At that point. And I find it funny because I don't say that in chats, in games and stuff, but I look at it and I go, this person doesn't realize that if that person kills themselves because of something like that, they can get time in prison because of that. Yeah. And another thing that I think people don't think about on the internet is that even though, for someone like me, I don't give a crap all that often about what some guy says over the internet to me, it's, it does have an effect. What you say does hurt somebody, and, people have heard this speech time and time again of what you say has an effect. The problem is that they just don't listen, and those people who actually are complete asses and say things like that, it's just going right over their head. Woo! Woo! Going straight by it. You're not getting anything into that thick skull, but it's important to let people know about it so and keep awareness up. Granted, awareness doesn't do hell of a lot of good. It helps, but honestly, in my mind, awareness isn't the greatest way to get things done, which I'm taking up the whole conversation now. If you want to add things in, go ahead. I have a tendency to do this.
Well, you're not the only one that has a tendency either.
But go
I'll admit, yes, put fear into someone doesn't really help correct their actions or that, but it's a way to at least bring it up to them that they are doing something wrong. But if you actually have where other people are involved, there are anti-bullying systems out there that, yeah, they're effective, but not entirely. So
no system is perfect.
Well, that's like the troll that I was talking about. Yeah, he has it where, of course, he uses fear and that to get to him, but he also has it where afterwards they have public embarrassment. He, of course, uploads it onto YouTube.
Which is kind of horrible.
He blurs out, he doesn't give out their names, he doesn't give out any of their information. So no one knows who they are when he uploads them. They just know, oh, it's another person he's trolled for something. Because even their gamer tags now are blocked, so no one knows who it is. Unless, of course, they say it down in the comments, which I don't see why they would do that anyway.
Well, maybe somebody is just looking for attention. That's a whole other topic, though. Yeah,
I would say that's another topic that we're not even heading toward.
Yeah, humans are complicated beings.
Sad things, we've now gone through 3 topics without a true segue.
Or at least we like to say humans are complicated beings when we're actually fairly simple in some ways. Anyway.
Since we can't be brought back to life.
Well, resurrection's a whole nother thing altogether. Again.
Apparently not to video games or movies or anything else.
Well, I guess here's something to talk about when it comes to resurrection in media. Obviously, now, one of the things I don't like that, but at the same time I understand that places like DC Comics and Marvel do. Sometimes superheroes throughout those series have died, but then they come back later. And part of that is just because the superheroes are too awesome and make too much money to just disappear. Gonna be honest, I'd be a little upset if Batman just died and there was no more Batman, because I love Batman.
And that's why they have it where things like DC Comics and they'll have it where the characters are back, but they're still dead. They're just undead. But
True.
There are some out there where you'll see a beloved character get killed, and you'll know, okay, they're dead. Like recently in this past Sunday, The Walking Dead.
Now
it showed where
I haven't seen any of the recent stuff yet of The Walking Dead.
It showed where a character died, and everyone's now saying that character's not dead.
Everyone's now saying that character's not okay.
Even though you've seen their intestines in that, there's a lot of conspiracy going on with that. Or are they going to keep them? Or are they going to somehow keep them alive or what? I don't know.
They find the phalanx pills from whatever game that was, I forget. And oh yeah, No More Room in Hell. They find the phalanx pills from No More Room in Hell that delay the zombification process. That's always an interesting thing, I will say, in anything zombie related. There isn't a cure, but there's something that delays it. And as long as you keep taking it, you delay it. Now, I feel like, oh, what is it? Whatever it is with that one guy who, it's got Zombrex, that's what it's called. But
Dead Rising.
yeah, Dead Rising. Dead Rising does a really cool story behind that in the sense of, they have this Zombrex, right? And it delays zombification, right? As long as people continually take it. But they make people pay through the nose to get it. Like, you gotta have tons of money.
Or you have to acquire it by stealing it,
Yeah,
which
or
is
do-
what you do practically in the game.
Or do something crazy to just gain a lot of money, like the character throughout, the first two at least does. He does that, or the second one, he does that whole terrorist reality game show at the very start to get money.
One, yeah.
Right? I mean, that's always an interesting topic because that also brings up a whole lot of, actual real world stuff that's kind of, one of my problems with, obviously you can't really talk about this because, stuff. But one of my problems with the United States is that we don't have free healthcare like some places like Canada. But it brings up real topics like that, things that somebody can actually relate to the real world. And I also love that just because it's the kind of thing that can be done really well. It can also be done very poorly, but everything can be done really well and really poorly.
Well, of course, we're in so much debt, and it's the only reason why we can't do a lot of that shit.
Yeah.
But, of course, not going too much in detail on that part.
Yeah. But I do love that they do that with, Zombrex and so on in the Dead Rising series. It's such a cool idea that I just really, really like.
I was say, as long as they do something where it's good, but then you got other series like...
Yeah. Now, one of the problems with that is that can kind of take over something as well, though.
Well, yeah. Like, you'll see it in... let me try... What's that one game?
Just describe it. Maybe I know what you're talking about.
Actually, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, I want to say it's 2 or 3. The one where it's the mission's No More Russian, where you're going through the airport.
Oh, that no.
And you get to the end and your character gets shot in the head.
Well, he doesn't get shot in the head, doesn't he? Get shot in the chest?
Yeah, he gets shot in the head.
Oh, well then.
Because the gun's pointing right at your face.
I didn't think about that. Yeah, I guess you're right. I love that game, actually, for that specific level, because, sure, it was really controversial, but what isn't controversial in media these days? But it was such an interesting scene, and I love how they do that. And, here's the thing, though, right? People complained on, I suppose, I'll go on the whole media rant of, oh, media this, media that. They say that this part of the game is controversial. Oh, Grand Theft Auto is controversial. Grand Theft Auto is based on controversy. In fact, you're helping their sales.
That's all it is.
You're helping their sales probably by talking about it so much. And
yeah, because more people want to see, okay, what's so controversial about it and buy the game.
Yeah, and, I don't play Grand Theft Auto personally, just because one, it's expensive. 2,
oh yeah, it's $60 or more.
And 2, I just never been a big player of the Grand Theft Auto games. I'm sure they're great, but I just, my problem is that with me, all I would probably do is massacre people all day.
I'll say that's all basically everyone does, and even
I know.
online.
And,
that's the point of the game, though.
Yeah, that's kind of the point of the game, is you get to go around and massacre people. I wouldn't even say it's all that open world. I'd just say it's get money, massacre people.
Yep.
Commit crimes. Fight police that are completely inadequate compared to real life.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, in most real-life scenarios, I suppose, really, the police are probably better prepped than the criminals, just because something interesting about most criminals out there, they're pretty stupid. That's why they're in prison. Not all of them, but some of them.
Oh, yeah. But, there's a lot of things out there that, of course, always gotta wonder how it's going to go and all that. Then, of course, but it doesn't matter how many characters die, they always seem to bring them back, which, yeah, defies the laws of physics.
Yeah, that's how the whole thing started. Characters dying.
Yeah. But it actually, a lot of creators do it due to, of course, the game or that character being so loved by fans that the fans complain.
Yeah.
So the writer somehow writes about they somehow survived the attack. They somehow found a way to delay the transformation, or somehow found a way to save their life.
Well, a cool compromise they can do for that is that something happens to that character that's, life changing for that character. For example, okay, this character survived the explosion of the grenade right next to him that you saw that you thought killed them, but they now can't use both their legs. Both their legs are just gone. They're
I'm saying,
immobile.
or they can't hear out their ears, or they're
Yeah,
blind
something
in
like
one of their
that. Because
eyes.
grenades, by the way,
You-
they do burst eardrums when they explode nearby
Yes.
you. Most games seem
you-
to avoid that, other than just a ringing. But no.
You know. But a lot of times you gotta go, okay, what's going on? What really happened here? 'Cause that's the thing. No one thinks logically when they do all this. They should go, okay, this is it, blah, blah. No.
Well, also here's another thing though. I'll admit one thing that I do say about media is that media in general, it's meant to entertain us. It doesn't always have to be perfectly crystal clear and make sense. Like
Yeah.
explosions in space. Star Wars has explosions in space. It's
There's
awesome.
going to be an explosion.
Yeah, obviously there aren't actually explosions in space, but you know what? It's still awesome, and it's still sci-fi, and it's enjoyable to watch. And the whole point is that I'm entertained by it.
Well, yeah.
And granted,
As long
even then, sorry to interrupt you there, but even then,
I know.
that's kind of a discussion where I think that a lot of people who watch media within, our kind of genre, nerds and people who really love stuff, we're way too critical about some of these things, and we need to understand that just sit back and watch it. The whole point is for you to enjoy it, not to criticize everything about it that doesn't make sense.
Oh, yeah.
And, that's just something that's rough for some people. They just don't seem to have an off switch for that. And, I'll admit, I can be very analytical in nature, but just sit back and watch the movie. Play the game, enjoy it. You know what? That didn't make any sense, but oh well.
Yeah. And that's all it is. And a lot of people just gotta figure it out.
And, some people may never do it, but some people part of their enjoyment from it may be criticizing those things. But if that is, don't just say it out loud to everybody, which is even more difficult because part of the fun is probably, telling people. That doesn't make any sense because other people sometimes just don't want to hear it. I'll admit,
Oh, yeah.
I'm okay with, some movies I feel like are almost made to be talked about like that. In the sense of movies like Sharknado.
Oh.
Seen it. I've seen them both. And I'll admit...
I've seen all three.
I didn't know there was a third one. I'll admit
The third one's a little sci-fi special.
Yeah, I'll admit my primary enjoyment from those movies was that doesn't make any sense. How on earth does that? What? That was
This is
probably
the one person surviving from inside a shark's stomach.
yeah, for an extended period of time, not digesting or being chewed or anything. But
Yeah.
still, we're spoiling movie scenes. No, if somebody hasn't
If you haven't
hasn't seen that,
Sharknado,
yeah,
yeah.
it may not even be worth watching it unless you want to watch a bad movie because you can. And
It's worse than most snuff films. I'll say that much. It's
But-
basically a snuff film of Jaws that's worse than
Yeah.
the snuff film of Jaws.
it can be enjoyable, though. It can be enjoyed. You do have the ability to sit back and enjoy something like that, even without being super critical. But in that movie specifically, I felt like half the fun with that was saying, "Why the hell is that happening? That doesn't
Yeah.
make sense."
Yeah.
And in the second one, they go back to that same thing. The same shark shows up with the gun in its stomach that's been there apparently forever, with the lady's arm.
Yeah.
It's
Of course.
that's what I
You were
like to
talk-
call a cult movie. It develops
Yeah.
its own cult of fans. Anyway,
Well, of course, you were talking about games being controversial. There's actually a recent topic that, of course, me being a fan of JRPGs, actually got me thinking on the difference between, of course, games released here in the States and games released there in Japan in them.
yes, Japan has
About-
all of its special
Yeah.
stuff.
Especially about some games being over-censored.
Over censoring. Yes, I suppose that can be a
Uh,
problem in some places. American
An
logic
example-
on censoring. It's sex. Get rid of it. Their head got blown off. That's fine.
Well, not all the time it's the sex or anything.
I know.
But like recently in the newest Fatal Frame that's coming out on the Wii U, they actually changed one of the characters' costumes.
Okay.
In the Japanese version, the character is supposed to be in what looks like a bikini. Okay.
I mean, I guess my big question is that really a problem? I don't.
Apparently, here in the States, it was because they changed it to where the character was now in a Metroid-style suit.
Oh well, I'd say that's kind of cool, honestly, but.
Well, no, the Zero suit, not the.
Damn.
It's just the undergarments. I'm going. You changed from good-looking undergarments to one that really.
Now somebody
Just
might.
because one showed the character's butt a little more defined, and had where her breast bounced around. So what?
Specific
It's
markers.
a girl. What do you expect?
Well, some people would argue, and I suppose actually one thing I would ask is, if any women watch this, I'm not sure if that will ever happen, but if any women do, I guess what's your opinion about that? Do you not like that they did that with the original character? I mean, because if it's a thing that actually, obviously it's going to bother some people, but if people don't care, then, oh well.
If there are females watching this, what is your view? As Hetsa said, what is your viewpoint on, of course, female characters being shown in what
Video games, media as a general, anything.
and just their underwear walking around in public areas, such as like in Fatal Frame, the character will be,
Granted,
or just walking around their house like that, and even though it could be seen the bikini or underwear, I don't know, I've seen it.
Granted, it's a
Yeah,
cultural thing, though. It's kind of a
Yeah.
cultural thing. I mean, people in the Western Hemisphere generally just view it as taboo to see women, kind of naked. It's just weird, apparently.
Even though you can go to a beach anywhere and see them that way.
Oh, nude
almost.
beaches. But, God, those places I actually don't want to go, those are on the top of the list, really. Those are one of the highest. I don't want to see a bunch of naked people. That would make me really uncomfortable.
No, the only person I want to see naked is my girlfriend.
Oh, God, don't even go into that.
Well, don't forget my job.
Yeah. But, so, and it's interesting, actually, because something else, people say that some characters in video games, they dress in a sexy manner, and some people complain about it. But I look at it and I argue, okay, think about it for a moment. Lots of women out there do dress in a way that they feel makes them sexy. If they want to do that, let them do that. And
Yeah.
again, I feel like I can't really make all the best judgments on this just because I'm simply not a girl, and I don't know how it feels. Because I'll admit, at least at the very least in the American society, it is definitely different to be a woman than a man, and it's just a hard truth. And I'm very blunt about things.
Oh, yeah.
Now, granted, I'm also willing to admit that I really don't have any clue what that's like.
Well, neither do I. And, of course, I'm just looking at it going, I can see both ways where, okay, as a guy, yeah, you want to see the girl practically naked and all that. As you're
Yes,
walking around.
there is that whole thing about how...
Hence why you have the guys who play games like Kingdom Hearts and they try and see up Kyrie's skirt, even though you can't technically.
Isn't there that game Lollipop Chainsaw? There's an achievement out there that's kind of a troll
Just by
achievement
looking
where
up
if
her
you
skirt,
try to look
yeah.
up her skirt,
I'm going, really, now they're trying to really make...
they're making fun
perverts.
of them. They're making fun of them, and I like that they're doing that.
Yes.
Because I'll admit, yeah, people are obsessed with sex as humans.
It's an achievement you don't want on your gamer tag.
It's fine though. I'm actually okay with sexual stuff being in media. I'm not bothered by it because, again, people like to make fun of this all the time in the United States specifically. The whole idea of censor sex but not violence, because and a lot of that just has to do with culture.
You'll have it where there'll be so much shooting in that, you'll see blood and all that, and then you, of course, game just a female stripping. Immediately you change to where the female's not showing, and it's just the guy looking. You're on. Really?
Yeah.
Really?
But
you know the guy's not looking at shit at that moment.
Yeah, but it's a cultural thing, and a lot of it has to do with our history. As a country, this country was, dominated mostly by, Catholic and Christian influences when it comes to religion, which they were unhappy with that kind of stuff, and just throughout time, that's just how it played out.
That gone out the door.
That's just how it's played out, and now things are obviously very We don't have to get into arguments too much about that kind of stuff. That's stuff that we can save for later.
I would say that could be a later topic and all that, possibly.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing that, there are these general things that people don't talk about, and that generally goes with politics, religion, and sexual orientation. And there are reasons why they don't do that absolutely make sense.
Yeah.
But it's also one of those things that, because it's not talked about so much, it should probably actually be talked about more often than not. Anyway, moving on.
I would say it should be brought up more, but oh well.
Yeah, moving on. But yeah, back to the thing at hand that we never really finished. Resurrection in gaming and all media. Segues and tangents. I love where conversations go. But
I would say with those, yeah.
But yeah, it is a very interesting thing, death in media. It's something that you can do really well, because sometimes the resurrection of a character, or the bringing back of a character, can be done, again, like everything, really well. To the point where it actually kind of makes sense. It's also huge and emotional and something like that. But, also the whole... I feel like there's a few things that I feel like should be on a checklist of this character should not be brought back if they've done this. One of them being if they sacrificed themselves.
Yeah,
Because
I've
it
seen
makes
that too many times, and
It makes that emotional.
Battlestar Galactica, you've seen that. Haven't one?
I've only seen the old Battlestar Galactica. Haven't seen the new one when it comes to the series.
Yeah, I haven't watched all the new one.
I
Only watched
haven't
the
seen
old
any
one.
of it, but yeah, just it gets rid of the emotion of that sacrifice. That's my problem with that.
And then you'll have it where, of course, characters will do so much, and then, of course, you'll see them just fall down, shot through the head, where you see their basically heads blown off, and then
Yeah, that's always an intense scene. Just kind of, you don't expect this character to die, and then suddenly, boom, dead.
they're dead.
Shock.
And of course, a few episodes later, oh, here's that character again, head fully intact, walking as if nothing's wrong. You just seen your head almost blown off, practically.
Now,
No.
granted, at the same time, there are exceptions to every rule. Someone sacrificing themselves can be brought back in a good way, but it probably takes a good example of that is in a world where magic is possible. If somebody sacrifices themselves, and then it's just kind of we're really the group they saved sacrificing himself is so upset that he's dead. They put in so much work and so much to bring him back.
I'll say they'll go through all the sorcery and everything to bring him back.
Yeah.
I understand then. But things like where it's modern day where there's no way to do that, and they'll still do it.
Yeah, well, even in sci-fi, it's kind of an interesting situation where they can.
Well,
What sci-fi?
if it's a
you can
futuristic
conjure up
one, okay, all they had to do is say that scientists were working on this technology.
Yeah,
bring
that
people-
one's actually
clone
kind of
them.
easy. That one's kind of easy to bring back characters in if you think about it.
Well, yeah, because you can say, oh, they're actually a clone, not the real one.
Now, granted, when people argue that, the clone isn't the same as the real person, I look at it and I think, no, the clone is the real person. It's just, different body.
It's just not the one that you knew.
Yeah.
Just one.
They
have all their memories. They had all that. It's just,
Yeah, and cloning is such an interesting topic. I personally don't support the idea of human cloning. I just don't see anything in. I don't see the sense in it. I just don't see why it makes sense to do that. It sounds like just a great way to make world hunger an even bigger problem.
well, it's also a way to prevent the population from decreasing.
Yeah.
But of course, that's another topic.
Again, things that we can talk about later. Those are the kinds of things that we need a long period of time to talk about. And we've only got, a good 10 minutes or so, I think, left to go here. 20? Yeah, we have a good 20 minutes left to go.
Another
So.
15.
Yeah, another 15. So anyway, we'll try to, not get into something too in-depth here, but... Yes, death is a very useful tool in media, but it's also something that can be abused and poorly used. This is with the same with resurrection. And again, it's like that with most things. Oh, but you know what?
What?
Something that I actually like when they do this in media is when a character will die, right?
Uh-huh.
And they're seemingly brought back, but it turns out that that version of them that was brought back is not as good as you thought it would be.
Oh, that's true.
That's always very interesting, where it's just, sure, this person has been resurrected, but because they were killed, and just because of the resurrection process, they're now a horrible person. Or something
Yeah.
like that. They're now a villain all of a sudden. And it's just kind of a thing where, I mean, there's that whole...
Their morale's got
Yeah,
flopped.
there's that whole trust of, this guy was my friend. He sacrificed himself for me. And, again, back to the sacrifice thing. We brought him back, and now he's... he's okay with the genocide of these people. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a moral dilemma in that regard. An extreme moral dilemma. And moral dilemmas are huge and awesome things that people do. And I love media. I love a good story.
Yeah, we all have our
benefits.
benefits with media and that.
I don't know about you, but story is one of my number one.
There are
things.
some things with the media that, of course, they affect other people, such as, of course, those who watch YouTube or things like Twitch and that, and of course, affecting those who that's their job.
What do you mean affect people exactly in that regard?
Well, such as like having ad block.
Ad block. So, funny thing to say about ad block. It's interesting because I use ad block. I'll admit I use ad block, but
I'll say everyone out there uses it. Just certain times, some people shouldn't.
Yeah, because here's the thing, right? With YouTubers and Twitch streamers, and granted, since we are doing that, it seems kind of biased, but here's the way I look at it, because I don't, exactly plan on making money from this and making a living off of
I'll
this.
say we don't make money from this whatsoever.
Yeah,
so.
we don't as it is, and I don't plan on it, but it's interesting
it's
because
just a
there's some
hobby.
people who do make money off this kind of thing, and it is their job. I feel like it's important to almost respect that they're actually willing to put in the effort to do these things for you. Which, granted, you think, why should we respect them when it's their job? Well, I mean, it's kind of like you should probably respect an engineer for making a computer for you to use. Or you should respect construction workers for building that road so you can get from your workplace to your home faster. Just general respect for other humans and their jobs. It's important.
And of course, everyone just if you're actually unaware, of course, someone's just randomly just for ad blocks and that. Yeah, of course, YouTube has the ability where you can skip ads.
Mm-hmm.
Really, watching a 15-minute or a 15-second or 30-second ad, really, is that going to affect you?
And,
no, you can sit there and just do something else while the ad's running or something, because that's, of course, how that person gets paid.
Yeah, and humans can multitask.
They see it. Oh, this is stopping me from watching my thing. Let me skip it when I can.
Yeah.
No.
Well, now here's the thing. If it's long, if I get the option to skip it, though, I will skip it. Because
If it's like a 5-minute ad, yeah.
Well, here's the thing, right? Generally speaking, if you're making ads, one thing that I think is important in advertising is you have to make sure it's short and sweet and to the point. I'm trying to sell you something. This is that thing. This is why it's better than all the other things out there. Buy it now.
Of course, you got the 2 ads that are so popular right now on YouTube about, I want to say it's Markiplier that's in it.
Oh,
With, I'm here in my garage with my new Lamborghini.
Lamborghini?
Yeah.
Lamborghini's a kind of car, right? I obviously don't know a lot about
it's a car.
cars.
But of course, that's one of the popular ads. Those are his popular ads that are out there right now. I don't know who that is.
Well, that's another thing.
Those in the comments don't chew me out for not knowing who it is.
Making popular ads. That's something I actually like. Because smart companies will realize that the internet is a brilliant tool for advertising, and if you can make a viral video, that does all the advertising you could want to do.
Well, what he does is basically the way to get money is, of course, go to school, get the knowledge. So he's promoting other things, not just, oh, look, here's a new cell phone that I have, no. Do things that actually are useful to others.
Well, I don't entirely know how it's going because I haven't seen these things, but...
Well, of course, because you have ad block.
Yeah, I do. I do have ad block. Grant, I don't think I use... I don't use ad block when I watch Twitch, which is rare.
Of course, that's on YouTube.
I don't think I do use it on some YouTube. Not all YouTube. I use it for, and then again, I don't spend a lot of time watching YouTube, but...
Well, no, because we're too busy with our lives.
Yeah, we're actually very busy people. It's kind of funny.
Which is why we're actually shocked for doing this.
Yeah, this is actually... Oh, what time? It's really late for us right now, actually.
Yeah.
Which, obviously that leads to far less viewers, but who cares? It's time that we could spend, and, that's another thing. As people, we need to be... I lost my train of thought. Organization! Organization is key. Scheduling and organization. Obviously, it's hard to follow a schedule. And
people that we know personally.
Let's talk about that with the people. But obviously now, sure, you can follow schedules, and I've had situations where it's just, look, I got something else that I gotta do, so I'm gonna have to put this back a little bit. But when I make a schedule, I say, all right. I never like to say I'm going to arrive at this time specifically. I say I'm going to arrive between this time and this time. Because I don't like to make a direct promise to something that I know could inevitably change if something...
And of course, if you make it with a group, you tell them ahead of time that, I'm not going to be able to do it this time, which is what you did with me for when we were going to initially do this a while ago. And you said, I can't do it right now. How will we do it later? And I went, okay, just let me know when.
Because it's Halloween, right? Or it was Halloween, and I'm sitting there going, I gotta hand out candy to people.
And of course, that's when I brought up the idea, okay, how will we wait until it calms down and see how it goes then?
And it did calm down. And, I actually ran out of candy. That's kind of why I stopped. But, so...
No wonder the kids hate you now.
Well, usually, generally speaking, when you run out of candy, that's the one where you just, all right, turn off the lights and everything that's bright outside your house so nobody approaches it.
Yep.
Because, that's kind of the general unspoken rule of Halloween. Lights are off, don't approach the house.
Yep, nope, you don't approach it whatsoever.
So Halloween is the worst time to use the burglary logic. God, I can't say that. Burglary logic of if the lights are off, nobody is home. Don't use that logic.
Yeah, no, they're home. They just don't want to be bugged.
That'd be a funny.
Of course.
That'd be a funny experience. A burglar breaks into the house. Nobody's here. Oh crap! It's Halloween. I forgot they're here.
But yeah, you got where so much goes on. If you do plan something, this isn't directed at any certain possible viewers on either one of our channels. If
Passive aggressive.
Schedule a big event, which probably might have been hold on for now almost 6 months. That's the same thing with that. But do at least make sure that you do talk to those people. Let them know ahead of time. Oh yeah, I can't do it this time. This might be another good time for us, or I'll get back to you when it's another good time.
Yeah.
Not everywhere they're constantly trying to contact you and get that information out of you.
Well,
or they'll go out of their way to schedule another day, and no word from you again.
That's kind of the interesting thing, though, is that, part of the problem is, people would blame the person who's organizing it, but the problem is that if the people that they're trying to organize it with don't tell them anything, it makes their job 3 times harder. And I'm saying this from experience. It makes
even if it's
your job 3 times
harder. Even with it's just 2 people themselves, and it's hard as hell.
Yeah, if I didn't inform you earlier, I can't do it, as early as we had hoped. It's Halloween. Completely spaced. It was Halloween. Funny enough, you think, why would he space that?
So early, I went.
Yeah, that's another thing.
Are we still up for today in that?
Yeah, make sure to do
unlike
an early
others
check.
that we've messaged that day of, and we don't get word to them, and then we come to the time of it, and of course, they're not there.
Yeah, you want to check. And that's why people, as humans and people, I say as humans a lot just because I'm not very... I don't put a lot of perspective on. I consider all humans to be humans, and that's that, so I tend to generalize us as humans. But it's kind of an acquired skill. Most people should have it. Not everybody does, but throughout our lives, you need to learn to just be observant. Check your email, and so on. Keep up to date.
Check your email, check your messages.
I'm not checking my email right now because I forgot to check. Everyone's allowed to make mistakes. And that's another thing to keep in mind. People are allowed to make mistakes and forget from time to time. It's fine.
If you forget for a whole 6 months, then no.
Well, a whole 6 months if you can't even contact somebody, that's a different story altogether.
Yeah. Not saying that we know someone that we haven't been able to contact.
Yeah, but it's a good thing to, why do okay, my email is full of junk. Let's just delete that. Why is that not in my spam folder? Anyway, that website I talked about for the free coding stuff. All
You
right,
got it.
yeah, it is Code Academy. That's what it's called. And
Code
it's
Academy.
again, it's pretty good. It's pretty good, and it's free. So, it's something that if somebody's interested in coding and they kind of want to dabble a little bit, that's something they should use.
I'll say we'll have it where it's, of course, in our description.
Yeah, we will throw it in the descriptions. And yeah,
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and actually enter that into my chat now. I'll just copy the URL as soon as I find it. Code Academy. But yeah, that's that website that I brought up at the beginning of the podcast forever ago.
I'll say it'll be in mine
About
too. So
2 hours ago. So speaking of which, we should probably wrap it up.
I was gonna say I think we actually gone on long enough.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna post that link really quickly in both chats. Boop.
I already posted it in mine.
Oh, alright, there you go. And we're going to go and end it off here, off of, there's an awesome link to an awesome website that teaches you coding stuff for free! You have to
And
make
if,
an
of
account,
course,
though.
you're on YouTube, just look down in the description. It's there.
Description is
of course,
going to have, links to everything.
I'll say I'll have links to, of course, headsets page, and
Yep.
if we ever, when we do these, have any
Yep.
videos that we're watching ourselves or we're
Watching
having anything
during-
else, of course, we will make sure that they're in the description too.
Yep.
Which, in this case, there was none, so it'll just be, of course, this site, and of course, headsets link to his Twitch, his Twitter, my Twitter, and both my live stream and also his YouTube channel.
Yeah, and vice versa. I should have everything. I'll try not to forget everything. But yeah, no, that shouldn't be a problem. And, and if we talk about certain things like posts, we may as well try to post those in the links as well, I'm not sure yet that Stellaris thing, but that might be something you might just want. No, wait, you read that in a magazine, so you couldn't.
I could easily see if I can bring it up right
But
here. Right
no. But say you found, if we find an internet article or something that we're interested in, we'll go ahead and put that in the link or link that in chat or in the description of the video. Probably in the description of the video or in chat. I just already said those. Anyway, look, I'm a little tired. All right. Anyway, let's go ahead and wrap it up here. Chibi, why don't you go and start off?
I could wrap it up for us.
Yep.
Well, anyway, I do hope you all did enjoy this podcast. If there's anything that you want us to talk about in future ones, such as topics that you want us to go on about, where, of course, it's us randomly talking, which you've seen how off we went on some of our topics today, or if you enjoyed it and you want to give us random comments and that, go ahead and let us know in either comments below or coming to our next stream, which, of course, is maybe be a little while for, but of course, when we get our next one, we'll let you know. Anyway, this is PC Death here. As always, hope you enjoyed and keep playing on.
Make sure
See
to
yous.
specifically tweet stuff at me. That's probably the best way to do it. Because my personal email, which you can probably easily find, but I'm not going to look at YouTube stuff on my personal email. Comments, sure, but yeah, tweet things at me if you want me to know about it for the most part, because I do check my Twitter fairly often. Sometimes I forget. Well, anyway, hope y'all enjoyed.
See yous.
Goodbye. Happy Halloween! Late Halloween. Anyway.